Next point. Science changes. The Bible does not. The Bible is not always going to perfectly partner up with science. And that's okay, because science and our understanding of the world around us, that is always changing. We are always learning new things about the world around us. God does not change. In fact, it says here in the book of Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And praise God, the God who heals people's backs, who cures sicknesses, who died for us, that He is always the same, a constant throughout eternity. Who has ever heard of a scientist? Everyone's thinking, not me. Who has ever heard of a scientist named Jean-Baptiste von Helmont? Raise your hand. Jean-Baptiste von Helmont. I couldn't make this name up if I tried. So he was a real dude. He lived in the 17th century, and he was a scientist who thought he had proved something that they called spontaneous generation. And he did an experiment where he took a dirty shirt, one of his sweaty shirts, and he put it on a sack of grain, and he waited 3 weeks, and wouldn't you know it, he saw mice in the grain nesting in his shirt. And so he said, aha, clearly the shirt mixed with the smell of the wheat has transformed the wheat into mice. And they called it spontaneous generation, that wheat would just scientifically turn itself into a mouse, kind of like a Cinderella transformation. And this was a widely accepted view. This was a thing, like, if you lived in this time period and you did not believe in spontaneous generation, people kind of thought you were a fool. Now, if you live today and you do believe in spontaneous generation, most people are going to think that you're a fool, because we know that's not true. We know mice come from older mice, and that older mice will nest near food, and especially with a smelly shirt nearby to live in. He also had one for scorpions involving bricks and heat that we're not going to talk about. Mr. Helmont here. But the point is, science is always changing. Our understanding of the world around us is always changing. And that's not a bad thing. That's usually a good thing as we learn more about God's creation. But the Bible does not change. The Bible has been very consistent, very, very consistent throughout its entirety. We're going to talk about that more next week when we address the myth the Bible's full of contradictions. But for now, lost my train of thought. But for now, we just want to take away the point that while science changes, God does not change. He is constant, and neither does His Word. His Word does not change.